Hey everyone. As you might know, I'm taking a brief hiatus from commentary videos, and if you didn't know that, well, you do now. Don't worry about it, I'll be back before you know it. But in the meantime, you'll still see some videos from me here and there, and it's been a while since I've done an honest-to-goodness rant. So here we go. Those of you who follow the internet personality, the angry video game nerd, may be familiar with his chronologically confused videos, where he complained about movie titles, how a series will start off numbered and then suddenly stop. One example, of course, was Rocky. You had Rocky, Rocky 2, Rocky 3, Rocky 4, Rocky 5, and then Rocky Balboa. Well, he briefly touched on video games, mostly talking about Mega Man and Final Fantasy, and he did a whole video on Zelda, but I felt he didn't really go into it enough, so I'm going to do it for him. My main issue is when a series of games starts off numbered, then stops, then suddenly goes back to numbering as if nothing happened. What the fuck is that? Oddly, Mega Man is a perfect example. We all know how there was Mega Man 1 through 6, and then Mega Man X, and how some people assume that X means 10 because X is the Roman numeral for 10. Honestly, that's fucking stupid. But I know a person who really thought that X was supposed to be 10 until recently, when the real Mega Man 10 came out. So, what? There was an X as in 10, and then X2 is what, 12? And there was no 11? That's not Capcom's fault, that's people, but here's my issue. They made Mega Man numbered all the way through Mega Man 8 on the PlayStation. Then comes Mega Man and Bass. The fact that it was on the Super NES is weird enough, but the title, Mega Man and Bass, for a while we just called it Mega Man 9 because it's the 9th game, right? But it isn't. Two of the robots from Mega Man 8 are reused, Tengu Man and Astro Man, and internally, the game's ROM refers to itself as Mega Man 8.5. So now it's a half-sequel? Then comes Mega Man 9 and 10. Maybe they really should have called it Mega Man 8.5. Then at least it could have been numbered. But okay, let's talk about more blatant examples. How about Grand Theft Auto? I couldn't give less of a shit about the GTA games if I tried. I just don't care. But I guess I care enough to get annoyed at the titles. It starts off so promising. You got Grand Theft Auto 2, and then Grand Theft Auto 3, which everyone seems to think is the first one, despite it having a fucking 3 in the goddamn title. Then comes Grand Theft Auto Vice City and Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. I mean, that's really 4 and 5, right? It seems a common thing to stop numbering after 3. And not name that 4 and 5, but it wouldn't be the first time someone arbitrarily stopped numbering things. But then comes Grand Theft Auto 4. Seriously? So what was Vice City and San Andreas? Part 3.5 and Part 3 3/4? Sometimes chronology gets really confusing, like Street Fighter. There's so many revisions to each game, they all sort of become their own series, but the order is all fucked up. You got Street Fighter and Street Fighter 2, like 40 versions of it anyway. Then out comes Street Fighter Alpha, which takes place between Street Fighter 1 and 2. Well, that's fine, but the weird part is in Japan, the game is called Street Fighter Zero. Shouldn't Zero come before 1? Last I checked, Zero did not come after 1. Street Fighter Alpha 2 is a remake of the first game, coming out only a few months later and rewriting the canon for the few people that care about the story. I mean, Charlie Nash dies in the first Alpha, but then he's back in 2, and he gets another death scene. Then Street Fighter Alpha 3 comes out, and it's clearly a sequel to the first 2, but there's Charlie again. I guess he survived getting shot in the back and falling off a cliff, and then he gets a completely different death scene. So Street Fighter 3 eventually comes out, that's fine, but eventually comes Street Fighter 4, and here's what really gets to me. 4 takes place between 2 and 3. How the hell? So, if you're to believe Capcom's understanding of basic numerals, it goes like this. 1, 0, 2, 4, 3. I know you grew up thinking it's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, but I guess we're all a bunch of dumbasses. Speaking of fighting games, there's also King of Fighters. This one can get really confusing, but I'll try to explain it the best I can. The first game is called The King of Fighters 94, and it came out in 1994. Perfectly reasonable. Every year after that, SNK released another game, named it King of Fighters 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, and then they released King of Fighters 2000. Now, I understand why they went with the full year instead of just 2 numbers. That's fine. Then comes 2001, 2002, and 2003. But the next one, King of Fighters Maximum Impact. Now, okay, I guess they didn't call it King of Fighters 2004 because it was different. They made it in 3D, and this one was more of a spin-off to the series. I get that. In 2005, they released the next normal game in the series, but they didn't call it King of Fighters 2005 because people would have asked, well, why didn't we get 2004? So they called it King of Fighters 11. If you count only the main 2D series that is numbered with years, there were 10 previously, so it's the 11th game. So, okay, they stopped numbering them after years and started using numbers. But wait, it gets worse. In 2006 came 2 games. Another spin-off game, this one in 2D, called the King of Fighters Neo Wave, and the sequel to Maximum Impact 2. Now that would be fine, except for whatever reason, when Maximum Impact 2 was released in America, it was called the King of Fighters 2006. So let me get this straight. The game that came out in 2004 wasn't named after a year because it was a spin-off. And since there was no 2004 game, they switched the numbering so they used regular numbers instead of years. Because if they called the next one King of Fighters 2005, people would have said, hey, what happened to 2004? But then when they do a sequel to a spin-off in 3D that has nothing to do with the main series, they name it King of Fighters 2006? The fuck is that shit? Then after that came King of Fighters 12 and soon King of Fighters 13. So okay, I'm getting all worked up. So only one more. Guitar Hero. This one is weird, and it's the reason I decided to do this rant. The first 2 games were fine, Guitar Hero and Guitar Hero 2. Then comes Guitar Hero 3, Legends of Rock. Okay, so they have a subtitle now, that's fine. At least there's still a number. Then they started working on 2 more games, Guitar Hero 4 and Band Hero. 4 was supposed to be the next in the series that used a guitar, and Band Hero would have used drums and microphones as well. Well, then they figured, why not just have all the games use drums and microphones? So they combined the 2 ideas, and Guitar Hero 4 became Guitar Hero World Tour. Wait, no number? It's even worse that they eventually did make a game called Band Hero, and that some of the later spin-off games would refer to World Tour as Guitar Hero 4. Well, it seemed that they abandoned numbers. It seems to be a common thing with 4th games. A lot of series, well, not just games, but a lot of things. They get to part 3, and then after that, they're not numbered. But then comes Guitar Hero 5. So now no subtitle, and it's numbered again, and it's not a Roman numeral for some reason. So, okay, the next one's going to be 6, right? Nope, Guitar Hero Warriors of Rock. I fucking give up.